I've got the photocopy of my image from my book. Yes. My book probably shows a bit more of the image than I'm showing here, but this is probably enough. I've traced the main shapes.
Yes.
The trees, the horizon line, the gate and gate post, and the top of this mound of snow and the back of this dark mass.
Right, okay.
You don't need all the branches, just the main, the main big shapes, I would suggest.
Okay, yeah.
Today, and just because I think it will make it, it'll be more accurate when I turn it back. I've turned my tracing paper over, and I'm now going over the lines that I've traced with a soft 6B pencil.
Yes, right.
And then but unfortunately, this process involves 3 lots of drawing of the shapes.
Yeah.
So what I would encourage you to do is not to do too many lines, just the main lines, and then you can do it in the way I'm doing it, or you can scribble on the back with a very soft pencil, or you can use some soft chalk, or you can use some transfer paper if you've got it.
Okay.
Whatever you feel is best, okay?
Okay, yes, fine.
And lovely to see you, and Happy New Year.
Oh, Happy New Year to you too.
I've seen the others, I think, apart from Yvonne. I've seen the others. If you do finish all the tracing down onto your watercolour paper, you can then go on a mixed colour. You could then just really look at the painting, really think about how he's achieved some of the techniques he's used in this painting. And what I got out was something that Sally and Yvonne and Chris and I did before, and Shelley, you won't have done this, but we did a copy of a painting by Leslie Worth. If you just want to look at the screen for a minute. Mm-hmm. And in preparation for copying this painting, we did some little, what I would call compositional studies, and tried out various techniques that you can do with watercolour. The only thing I haven't used here is, I haven't used gum arabic, which is something I have used with my classes at Waterman's, and I haven't used the resist that you can buy because I'm not very keen on it, and it wrecks your brushes. But what I did use was in some of these exercises was a candle, a white candle. I used some sea salt, and then the rest of it was sort of brush technique, which I'll explain later. Now, Sally and Yvonne, if you've still got this sheet somewhere, it's worth getting it out, because I think it will help remind you on how we approached trees, and I suppose it was made, creating texture, and it was using brush technique in the painting. And Chris, you may have yours as well, but don't worry if you haven't. And I'm going to carry on with what I'm doing, which is drawing on the back of the image.
Well, what colours are you mixing?
That I haven't really deeply thought about, although Shelley and I looked at it yesterday. Raw sienna I would have.
Yeah.
Prussian blue, ultramarine blue.
I've used sepia because I've got sepia.
Yes, sepia, if you've got sepia. Maybe some gamboge.
Okay,
that might be enough. You might need to use some red as well to create the greys. You could use burnt sienna, which is very fierce, or just use some alizarin. I mean, in the foreground where the tractor tire marks are, that's what that funny shape in the left-hand foreground is. This here. Yes. It's quite well on my copy, and even in his painting, it's kind of a warm brown, and he may have used a bit of vermilion, a bit of blue, and a bit of raw sienna to create that colour.
Right.
I don't think you're going to need aureolin, but, you know, I just usually leave everything in my palette. As I said, look, this is my palette. It's nice and clean today for a change. I haven't replenished some of the colours, but I always have alizarin. I always have vermilion. That's my raw sienna. This is gamboge, aureolin, Prussian blue, and I'll put some ultramarine in there.
Mm-hmm.
So I just keep those. I keep those. Usually, I keep a squirt of colour in those, which I let dry out, and then I can just reconstitute it with water each time.
Mm-hmm.
So nothing special. I haven't used anything special because I think you should be able to get the colours you need from those.
Okay, thank you.
You need to use some gamboge, and mainly gamboge, and then you will introduce into it a very small amount of vermilion, which is the orangey red. And I mean small because if you put too much in, the colour will go orange.
Yeah.
And you need to put a fair bit of water with it because it's a very soft yellow. It's not a strong yellow. So that's yellow. Okay, for that yellow sun.
Yeah.
The sky, I would suggest, is made up of, I don't know, you could just use Prussian blue and put a weeny bit of alizarin in it, because essentially it's a grey, isn't it?
Elysian.
I think I'd use alizarin in it, but not very much.
Okay.
Now, if you mix up those colours, test them out, dry them, and check what they look like against your original. Okay, if you can get that done, you'll be well prepared.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.